Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode here of AirgunwebTV. My name is Rick Utzler, and let's talk air guns. We've already got some people here in the chat, and I kind of threw out a question, did the same thing last week. Last week we were talking about expensive or affordable guns and really what is the sweet spot for folks. And we got some, I thought, a really good discussion going. And this week I have a similar topic I want to jump into, and a lot of this stems from comments I get from YouTube and conversations I have with people, but I thought it would be interesting to throw out the question, really, is like power the defining point on an air gun? And I mean, accuracy obviously is a given, but so we're going to assume that we're talking general accuracy, and so we're talking 1 inch at 50 and 1.5 inches, 2 inches at 100, just saying. I know that measure is getting, changed quite a bit as well, because people are wanting, sub MOA across the board, and I understand that. But let's go with a more practical approach here. And also we can talk small bore versus big bore. And on the image, I actually used a picture of the Dragon Claw. And I am, guys, just, I'm going to try and keep an eye on the chat tonight, and hopefully we've got folks up here that can answer questions when I miss them, and I'll do the best I can to try and keep up with them. But we shall see. So the Dragon Claw, for example, is a gun that really got my attention early on in air gunning. In fact, I remember watching reading Tom Gaylord's blog, going on Pyramid Air, seeing, oh my gosh, a 50 caliber air gun. It just kind of blew my mind. Had never thought of such a thing. And I know that for the longest time, that gun, the 909 and the Recluse, were really the big bores to have as far as consumer available off-the-shelf guns. And those guns took a lot of game. I mean, they took a lot of game. And so for the longest time, 200, 250 foot-pounds was sufficient energy, in most people's opinion, to take big game. And now it's interesting to see a change where people are looking at guns that are doing 200, 300, 400, even 500 foot-pounds, and sort of throwing them out the window because they're not doing 1,000. And I'm curious as to the validity of that kind of thinking, when there are a lot of really decent air guns in the, I think you need to be over 200 really if you're going to take big game, but that's just my opinion. But in the, 150, 200 to 500 range that are accurate, they're well built, and I think they're very, very viable. We're switching over to small bore stuff. So switching over to small bore stuff, it's interesting to see, again, people looking at guns that are maybe perfectly acceptable in certain environments, say a backyard or for 20 to 35 yards, and really don't need a lot of power, but because they're not pushing, the upper limits are suddenly kind of thrown to the wayside as junk or not being any good because they're not pushing, the outer limits of power. So my question to you guys, what do you think about how important is that upper limit max power to you? And do you think something's been lost in translation over the last few years with this mad dash to see who can go fastest and hit hardest? Now, given if you're purpose built, like you're looking for a 100-yard gun or a 150-yard gun, I mean, obviously that changes the dynamic. You actually need a piece of equipment that can do what you want. And a lot of times power is going to be a major component of that. But the majority of backyard air gunners, do they need to try and push that limit? And so that's the question. So I'm just looking through here. There was a gentleman up here had a comment. See if I can decipher the comment. So Dan says this, speaking of when did power become this thing, he says, a better question is, why would it? Because it sure hasn't for me. They have their use and are interesting, but the defining factor, and I guess that that's me too, Dan, just so you know. I know that there are a lot of people that are, insistent on the absolute most power. And first of all, if that's what you go after, it's a hobby, man. Go for it, enjoy it, and do it. However, don't discount others that may not have the same view as you. I've worked really hard. I made some mistakes in the beginning of my career in this, but now I work really hard to want to put myself in another shooter's shoes to understand their perspective, and so that I can understand where they're coming from and better understand the market. So I don't really completely toss out somebody's view or perspective on a hobby they love. And I hope that other people will learn over time to have that same sort of mindset, because I've been shooting the little Brocock, or even, gosh, before I did that for Airguns of Arizona, I had the BSA Ultra SE, which is a 12 foot-pound gun. I absolutely love that gun. That is just a sweet cream puff of an air gun, and I absolutely love shooting it. Wasn't very powerful, but I was just target shooting paper at 50 yards, and I was still doing very well even with only 12 foot-pounds. So, for me, that was perfectly fine. For others that want to hunt coyote, it wouldn't be practical, obviously. Yeah, David needs at least 500 foot-pounds to get through his tough paper targets. And they must be, 3-inch pine, I guess, Dave. Or maybe your backstop behind the paper is your 3-inch pine. So anyway, so I think that is just an interesting perspective. I think, Dave, you shoot sort of in an urban environment, or do you go to the range all the time? I'm not sure if you're shooting in your backyard, if you're going to the range. So Heath, and just a quick thing, and I posted a comment. Yesterday I released the video, the second video, and we're going to have a lot of videos on that FIREARMS Tactical, kind of demonstrating the power levels, because they've taken the approach where I don't want you to, well, okay, I'm putting words in their mouth. They've made it very simple to change the power without you needing to adjust the regulator, hammer spring, or other things. You just change the transfer port and it changes the output. So I like that idea. I think the parts that could wear are less prone to wear when you're not adjusting them all the time. But anyway, I was kind of showing the different power levels and accuracy at 50 yards. I was actually surprised to see power level 3 at around 800-ish feet per, no, it was probably about 800 feet per second, that were grouping, half inch, 3/4 of an inch at 50 yards. Granted, we were only doing 5 shots, and I was kind of running through it relatively quickly. But I asked if you guys wanted to see full reg tests, and so we're going to do that. I've had enough people come back and say yes, they'd like to see that. So I'll just run a whole set, like the whole usable pressure on 3, 4, and 5 power settings, and I'm going to use a bunch of pellets on that one and see where we sit. And that should be a pretty fun test to see the consistency we're getting, because now that I've shot the gun a little bit, the reg has certainly sort of broken in and gotten extremely consistent. First couple of times I shot it, it was a little bit, same thing with my Ultimate Sporter, which was, I had the stock, I put a new action in the stock, and somebody had commented, wow, that's terrible consistency. Well, it was brand new. I hadn't broken it in yet. Now the spread's like 4. So it certainly has gotten better with age. So I think we're going to have the same thing with the tactical. So we will be doing that. But that's a good example of a gun that isn't a 50 or 60 foot-pound gun in 22. It's 30 some change, which for 22, it's perfectly acceptable for 50-yard target shooting, small game hunting, pesting, and even up to, groundhogs and raccoon and stuff. It's got plenty of juice for that. And I think it does so with style, but that's my personal opinion. Let's see if we got some other things going on here. So Gary's, he wants 30 to 40 foot-pounds is good. He's looking for pest control, and that's a reasonable amount of power. Let's see. Swigs, are you saying you have a Benjamin Marauder semi-auto? Because if you do, I have a question for you. Because I've had 2 of them and I've had to send both of them back, and I'm just curious as to your experience on it. Let's see here. All right. So Brian, if Brian's like a long range shooter, so if you're shooting 150, 200 yards, I know people that like Joe wants to shoot prey dogs at 200, 300 yards. Well, that's you absolutely then you actually need something that's going to give you that initial velocity that's going to give you the stability to carry. But if your longest shots you're taking are 35 to 40, 50 yards, if you have a way to stop the more power, I guess go for it. But really, you might get more use out of something with a little less power, less noise, more shots. Just an interesting concept instead of always having to go for the more power. Let's see here. So Daniel's saying he's got his Avengers set, 30 foot-pounds, 1813s, and yeah, that's plenty enough power for Raccoon and so forth. Daniel, I'm curious, how your groups are doing and how far you've stretched it. And I believe 30 foot-pounds would probably put you in the high 8s, I'm guessing. Not quite 900 feet per second. And I'm curious how that's translated for you. I found just in a general thing, if I'm shooting at 50 yards, and this isn't every gun, but just generally in a pellet gun, not a slug gun, just pellets. If I'm going to be shooting at 50 yards, my muzzle velocity needs to be at least 750 to 800 for me, again, generally speaking, to have consistency. If I'm going to stretch that to 100 yards, then I want to see 950 or 930 to 950 with whatever I'm shooting. Tends to give me the extra oomph at the muzzle to get me out to where I want to be. And really, once you get past that, you really start dealing with some stability issues because you're just close to the sound barrier and transonic and subsonic and all that other stuff with pellets that gives you a fit. All right. So Timmy is a hunter, so power needs to match the game. Let me ask you a question here, Tim. With the reality that guns like the 909, which is a 200 foot-pound gun, the Dragon Claw, the Recluse, which is about 130, 140, the Dragon Claw is about 2 to 230, that those guns were the de facto standard and for years were what people just hunted with plenty of success. Do you still think that 600-800 foot-pounds is what we need to hunt game? And that's sort of the question. That's kind of the big question I have. Granted, if you've got a hammer and you're doing 600 to 700 foot-pounds, easy, and you want to go for it. I mean, it does give you a greater margin of error when you have that extra gas in the tank, for sure. But I'm wondering, have we become sort of programmed to think that's the only way it can be done? Let's see. So Heath is saying all these rifles in 2022 have plenty of power. I want quality, accuracy, and reliability. If I want more, I have real firearms. I'm of the same opinion, Heath, that if I need a 400-yard gun, it's probably not going to be my air gun. It may be something else I have available to me. And if I need more than 100 yards with plenty of power, it's probably going to be something else than an air gun. Now, I'm working to get better on that. I'm learning how to shoot more accurately at 100 yards and finding things that work. I would love to be able to have a solid hunting air gun that had the velocity to overcome the flight time and critters jumping the shot and all that other stuff to be able to hunt effectively at, say, 150 yards. So I'm working towards that. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm hoping to do it. Something I want to do. So let me see here. Yeah, so Dave's saying he's loving the Ultra. Yeah, Dave actually bought the Ultra from me, and I hope that gun's treating you well. That was just a sweet cream puff of an air gun. I apologize, guys. I got just some sinus stuff, so if I make some gross, disgusting noises, I wish I wasn't making them, but I just can't breathe, so I apologize today. Dusty, windy, and here in West Texas, it is what it is. Yeah, Heath, I actually want to try the 15 grain pellets on Power 3 with the AirgunWeb Tactical. I think the other side of that video, which I didn't get into, which I will get into in a subsequent video, is how changing the power setting allows you to use different ammo. So if I'm hunting and I want to shoot something that's a little heavier, I can turn it up. If I'm just target shooting, want to shoot something a little lighter, I can turn it down, and I'm able to get the most out of the platform with just a rotation of a dial. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. If I'm just plinking, 30 foot-pounds is more than enough. Yep, I agree. Yeah. So I think you've hit a really important point. For me, shooting slugs here, if you guys have seen photos of my range, and some of you guys have been out here, I have my 20 acres next to my sister's 20 acres, and so I have probably 400 yards. I have a berm, and then another 200 yards behind me. Behind that, maybe more, maybe 250 yards behind that, before you hit anything, maybe 300 yards. But anyway, slugs carry. Slugs carry just like a bullet carries. In fact, I'm testing the Ibex 22. I'm going to probably swap to the 25 because I'm waiting for some slugs from AVS, because everything I have is undersized and I need something fatter, like a 223, literally a 223 slug, for that to really stabilize well and shoot well. So I'm going to go up to the 25 while I wait for those other slugs. But I'm getting 22 long rifle, well, subsonic rounds performance out of the airgun. So easily close to 100 foot-pounds with a 22 is what I'm getting with the Ibex 22, which is a lot. It's a lot. And so I want to switch over to the 25, get some really nice fat 25 cal slugs and try those. But anyway, you better know what's behind you, because a little bird or even a rabbit or something isn't going to stop that slug. It's going to keep going. That's where pellets actually have an advantage in small game hunting in tight quarters. It's actually important. Let's see. Yeah, swings, even if you miss, even if you hit it, is going to go through it. You're not going to know where it goes. How much more power can they produce before one of these grenades? On someone? As far as exploding, these cylinders hold a ton, so I wouldn't be concerned about that. I got a text coming in from Angie. Let me let Angie know that I'm on a live. And a live. Angie, wish you were here. Let's see. Wish. Let's see. I can't type tonight. You were here. Smiley face. Go. Okay. Let's see. Come on here. So Daniel's telling me he's shooting 880, so I thought, God, Angie's reply is funny. I thought she'd be in the high 800s. Yeah, you're looking at half inch at 50, inch and a bit, inch and a half, at 100, 3-shot groups. Do you guys know what the ideal group size is? Like for, statistically? A minimum of 7 shots. So you can go to 10. It's unnecessary because 10 is going to give you, 7 is going to get 5. 5 is not as statistically accurate as 7. But if you go from 7 to 10, you really don't gain much. So if you want to really know how both you and your equipment is performing, do 7-shot groups. I do 5-shot groups on occasion, like I do the AirArms, just because we're goofing around. But when I'm doing stuff for serials, then I'll shoot the whole mag, for example, which would be 7 or 8 shots maybe, or 10 shots or whatever. Gosh, on the Hubin, I shot all 15 or 17 or whatever it is, unnecessarily so. But 7 is kind of the statistical sweet spot, by the way. Okay, let's see. Okay, Timmy is saying 65 foot-pound for coyote and 100 for 80 for deer. I think that's very practical. I've got my Hubin set up at about 90 foot-pounds, which is running a little hot, but I need it to push at 46 grain slugs. I'm pushing out of that, so that's why that's pushing so hard. But I'm looking forward to lining up on a coyote with that and dropping him. That is, I am very excited to do that. So I'm pretty tickled. But I think your power levels are pretty reasonable. Daniel's saying my longest shot on small game was 75 yards on a coon headshot. Okay, that's effective. Let's see. Let's see. So Angelo's saying Heath to Heath, our country laws allow air guns as long as a projectile doesn't go into over another person's property without permission. When I lived in Havasu, that was the law there. You could target shoot in your yard as long as your ammo doesn't leave your property. If it does, then you're in trouble. All right, now this is a very good point. Now, so Devin's got this point here, and I think he's hit on something. And it is, I will say that I think you are, and I hadn't thought of this, so thank you for bringing it up. He says, I feel the big pull towards more power is trying to convince on-the-fence traditional firearm enthusiasts to get on board. Low FPS guns throw a lot of novice airgunners off. FPE is easy to understand. I think you're absolutely true, because when I talk to firearm shooters, and it's still, it's amazing today when I talk to people about air guns. Yes, I shoot air guns. They immediately go, oh, so you shoot airsoft, or, oh, so you shoot BB guns? They don't. And then I'll tell them I actually make a 62 caliber or 20 gauge shotgun, slug gun, and their eyes get real big. And then if they're fortunate to come out and pull the trigger on one, then it just completely changes their dynamic. But the mindset is air guns are super chintzy little things. And I think the market or the industry, because frankly, the airgun market is fairly saturated. I mean, we're getting new airgunners in, obviously. But I mean, how many of you guys on the chat here, how many people that listen or watch the channel already own 2 or 3 airguns? I mean, that pond's been fished in. And so I think you hit something, Devin, that's very, very true. And I bet you the market is going after folks that consider airguns being toys and trying to somehow prove that not true. They're not toys. There are some toy airguns, but what we're talking about here on the show, or what I shoot regularly, we're not shooting toys. We're shooting really nice pieces of equipment. Even the, a $220 Beeman Commander today outshoots guns I had 14 years ago that cost 4, 5, 6 times as much. So, we have some really great equipment today that if we can get people to actually pull the trigger on them, they actually get really excited about what it could do. So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So Timmy's saying he's getting 64 foot-pounds out of his Avenger, that's shooting hot for the Avenger. And the Bulldog's doing 190. That's actually really good for, I'm guessing, the 357. That's actually really good for a 35 cal Bulldog. 200 foot-pounds with a 35 is serious business. That is significant. I was shooting, and Angie should have got it in. I'm pretty sure Angie got it in. I sent her the Ibex 35. That's pushing 300 foot-pounds. And it's, for me personally, I think it's like almost too much, because you can't shoot pellets out of it. You have to find a slug that fits and runs well. I would have loved to have been able to shoot the Hades 35s, which is what I had intended, but the pellets were flying so fast and so inaccurate that I didn't want to waste the few I had. So I've got to scale back my 35 tests. Maybe I'll grab the Recluse, because I still got one. I forgot I had that one. That might be a really good gun to try out with the Hades. I'm going to do that. Actually, that would be a good one to do. Okay. But I mean, that's a really fun gun, even though it's pushing a ton of power. I'd like to dial that back to about 250, would be pretty sweet, or have some way to vary the power in that would be also pretty cool. Maybe change the valve, the top hat so that you have like one wide open, and then you have restrict the transfer port to make it a little less power. Might be a good way. I could talk to Evan X about doing something like that. All right, let's see. Angie's here. Yay. Finally. Okay. Yeah, Heath is yeah, when you're shooting slugs and you miss, you don't know where it's going. That's a super important point. Yeah, so Shane's got himself a long-range slug gun. That's pretty cool. Angie, fashionably late. Yeah, you have so many fans, Angie. Doesn't it feel good? I mean, doesn't it really? Hemi, when do we get a review of the Gauntlet 30? I shot it this weekend. So I've got some footage in the can. I've got to decide if I'm going to go back and reshoot it. I was tired, and I know that my groups at the first part of the day were so much better than my groups at the final part of the day. So I have one. I have shot it. I will tell you, it is crushing easily over 100 foot-pounds. The regulator is very consistent, and that gun is going to be a lot of fun. It is a loud son of a gun. So if you like loud, I mean like cracking, sounds like a 22 long rifle almost loud, you're going to love the G230, and it hits so unbelievably hard. That's going to be, I'm excited to show you guys that gun. I've got some appointments tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll reshoot it or not. I'm still on the fence, but that is a very nice gun. I can't wait to show it to you. I also was trying to film through the scope like I did on the FIREARMS, but for whatever reason, the Tacticam tends to want, and maybe it's just me, but it seems to want to change my point of impact, which theoretically shouldn't happen, but it just seems to cause me a problem. And I'm not as accurate with that on the gun as I am with it off the gun. So I've got to figure out another way. I really would like to be able to show you guys through the scope footage without having to go to the ATN, because I want to show you precision shooting, not necessarily just hunting accuracy. So, but the G2 30 cal is really, really good, and I can't wait to show you guys a full video of that. The video I did was just a range time video, so we're still, I mean, I probably will still go ahead. Sorry, my nose itches. Probably will still go ahead and post that, edit and post that, and then follow up with, obviously, we're going to do multiple videos on that. But I was impressed. It definitely hit both shot count and, well, almost shot count. More like 3 mags, 21 shots, not quite 25 shots, but I mean, that's the man. Maybe after it breaks in a little bit, which is the other part of it, right out of the gate. The reg's still settling down, and I'm getting used to the gun and so forth. So once it breaks in a little bit, it probably will settle down and get to 25 shots. But definitely over 100 foot-pounds, easy. Really, really nice. So I think you guys are going to like that video for sure. Let's see. I've got a Zeus. Hopefully, Brian has a Zeus with him. Brian's out here. He's visiting, helping out in the pro shop. And hopefully we're going to be able to get some heavy equipment if anybody is in the El Paso area and can either help us find or can loan us some heavy equipment. I know that's kind of a long shot. We're trying to do some work on the range, make it safer, increase the backstop so that it's higher. We really are having a hard time finding the equipment even to rent it because it's so scarce. And Brian's here for a couple, 3 weeks, and he's a heavy equipment operator. And it would be nice to be able to put him to work because that's what he came out here for, but we're having a hard time getting equipment. So if anybody can help, that would be awesome, just for what it's worth, department. But anyway, he's here. I think he has a Zeus. Brian, let us know if you got your Zeus with you, because we're definitely going to be shooting that. I mean, that's a 1,200 foot-pound gun. That's on like the upper edge of, for me, that's like the upper edge of wow. But I'll shoot it and I'll see how I like it. Let's see. Daniel's been shooting since he was 15. That's very cool. Yeah, Rodney, you're right. PCPs are more consistent. If you're talking about their being subsonic, they are more consistent. And they are quiet and they are easier to quiet down, and they are good for predator. Absolutely. Accuracy and silence got you hooked. That's cool. I'm with you. Is the power adjustable on the IBEX? Angie, no, it's not, unfortunately. And I think I'm going to talk to Mr. Lee about creating a way, just some sort of way to change out the valve head so that we can tame it a little bit, because it's pushing too hard. I think it's just really pushing hard. You get to the 45 and 50, you really like having all that power. But it would be nice to just tame it, just take the edge off a little bit. It'd be nice. Let's see. So Mike's asking me a question, or making a statement. I think the range of air guns that are under $1,000 is amazing in today's market compared to years ago. Yes, absolutely. In fact, I would go to as much to say as you can look at guns under $500 and you have to scratch your head and go, how do they do it? I mean, the JTS guns are going to be 320 and 420 respectively. We've got DAR, we've got the Avenger, we've got the Gauntlet 2, we've got the Origin, we've got, Beeman's got their underlever, they've got their Commander. There's so many different PCPs now that are absolutely just shooters. I mean, they have different stages of aesthetics and build quality and fit and finish and all that other stuff. But, there are so many really, really outstanding guns right now for, I'd say even under $500, but under $1,000 for sure. Let's see. Let's see. So I'm glad, David, that you're having fun with your air guns. That's very cool, man. FX stands for freaking expensive. Well, if you have one, and I know Brian's got one and he's got his dialed in. I want to see this. I want to actually shoot it because he's got it with him. But he's shooting, ragged holes at 100 yards with it. And man, that is a feat. I don't know that I can do it. I'm not that good of a shot, but I'm going to try. Because that's impressive. They are expensive, but they are engineering marvels on the other side of it. So that's very, very cool. Yeah, 100 foot-pounds in a 22 is pretty much crazy, Heath. But the gun is just slamming. And I haven't found anything that actually seals the rifling up yet. So I'm losing energy because it's not actually engaging and sealing up properly. I get those heavy slugs and larger diameter slugs from AVS, and that's good. That's going to change things. I guarantee you, it's going to change. I want some. He's got some 50 grains, some 46s, some 40s. I want to really try them in different diameters to see how they fly, because I bet you it's going to be pretty awesome. So let's see. Can you quiet the G230? Oh, here's something cool. And I might have even a picture of it. Let me see. If I have a picture I can share with you guys. Because I thought I took pictures. Did I take pictures? Oh, maybe. Hold on. I might not have. Hold on. I had to have, because I did them on my phone. Hold on. I may just need to dump them to Google. Hold on. I'll do that while we talk. Hold on. Yep, I had like 50 photos. Once those update, I'll show you, because I was so impressed with this on the G2, because on the 30 cal. Instead of making us have to buy an adapter to then fit a moderator, they just put a threaded end on it. They knew it's loud. I mean, it's almost like they said, look, it's loud. You guys have fun figuring that out. And let us make our own decision on what we want to run for a mod. So I thought that was very cool. It's just got a threaded end cap. Once these are done backing up, I'll pull up a picture and show you guys what it looks like. But it's nice. It's very, very nice. very nice. Let's see. Yeah, so Kevin's saying the Impact was expensive before all the mods. After, it's just nuts, but I love it. Yeah, it is. And I think there are, if you're getting an FX or like I bought a Daystate Red Wolf, when you're at that, you've just gone all in on the hobby, and you just, at that point, are buying it less about, performance and more about the I don't know. I love shooting the Red Wolf quite a bit because it is just an experience. I mean, it's an experience. The stock is beautiful. The action is just, it's otherworldish sort of thing, what you can do with the power levels and just clicking a switch and adjusting things. It's very, very cool. The FX has all the adjustments on it. You can dial it in and play with it and get it just the way you want it. When you're at that level, you've really kind of gone all in on the hobby. And as I've said before, let's say you like shooting trap or skeet. I mean, have you guys seen some of the costs of like an over-under, like a really nice over-under? I mean, they're tens of thousands of dollars. So the idea of hobbies take people to the extremes, that's what hobbies do. If you're getting an FX or a Daystate Red Wolf or Delta Wolf or any of these guns, you've gone in all in on the hobby at that point. Anyway, let's see. Edward, okay, it's probably a pretty good question. I've shot the Armada a lot. I have a 25 cal Armada. The Benjamin Armada Marauder genre, it's old. It's old. The Armada's an unregulated platform. It was, at the time, so what, 8-10 years ago, it was pretty cool. It was very cool. I mean, I love the chassis. I love the frame. It was just a Marauder with a different skin. But it's old. It just is. I like the gun I like a lot better is the Gunner. I like the Gunner a lot better than the Armada. It's regulated. It's got a bottle on it, which I prefer. I've played with the regulator. I'm getting 54 foot-pounds out of mine now instead of the 40 or 42. I shot some 100-yard groups with it, which I have a video coming out of that here shortly. I really like that. That gun, it's made by Kroll, I believe, so it's Turkish, and it's, assembled here in the States and whatever. But that I think is maybe a better comparison between that and the FIREARMS, better than, say, the Armada. Angie has an Armada. I think she has my old 22 Armada. But I have the 20. I have the 25. I like it. But it's not going to keep up with the FIREARMS. Just not going to do it. Let's see. Angie, it's all right. At some point in time that is going to be resolved. And I've still got to fix your FIREARMS that I have here. So I got to get on that. And maybe by the time you come out here for Airgun Expo, we'll have all that done. You can take it back with you. Shane, asking a good question, and I already know what Angie's question is going to be. What is a good big bore for getting into hog hunting? If you want all the headroom in the world, I would just get a hammer. And Angie's already killing some pigs with the hammer. The Ibex is another option. No, the hammer spring is not adjustable on the Ibex. Angie, the Ibex, I know you've taken apart the JTSs and stuff. The hammer spring and the way the whole gun goes together and comes apart, there is no adjustability at all in that gun. The only way you're going to adjust it is to change the size of the throat of the valve coming out of the bottle. If you can change that, and I think actually this would work if Mr. Lee made just some actually Allen key inserts with different size holes to restrict it. That would be a way that you could restrict that. I could talk to him about that anyway. But that would be a very good way to do it. There's no adjustment on it. It's just you're gonna need heavy slugs to run that. Back to Shane's question. If you're going to be shooting bigger hogs, 300, 400, 500 pound hogs, and that's what you're going at, I think the hammer's a great option. 2 shots on tap, regulated, very accurate, tons of power. Shoot the 320 grain Nielsen slugs, and there's very little you're not going to be able to drop. If you're shooting smaller stuff like 100 pound hogs, and you have a lot more options. So what you're dealing with a purpose-built, well, like a reason to have it. So figure out how big the hogs are going to be, and then it's going to be a lot easier on really giving you some options. But it's hard to say no to the hammer. It's $800-900. It does really well. It's not the most powerful, but boy, the form factor is really, really good. Under that, you have the Ibex at about 500 foot-pounds. I like the Ibex a lot in 50, and I just shoot it with open sights. So that's something you can't do with the hammer. So, and I would be pleased to chat with you. You can reach out to me over my website, and I would be pleased to chat with you via email or over the phone to help you pick something. Let's see here. So Gary's saying the new DAR is $500. Well, that's more in line with what I think the gun's worth. I think the 300 price point was too cheap. Let's see. Dee's asking, can you do a review of the crawl puncher? I've actually, if you just search my channel, I've done videos on the crawls. They were years ago because they're not new, but Benjamin didn't copy it. Benjamin hired Crawl to build their new guns. So that's how that worked. They made an agreement with Crawl to build the new Benjamin guns. So the Caden, the Kratos, the Akela, the Gunner, they're all made by Crawl. So that's why they look the same. They're actually really nice guns too. And they're better. The Benjamin versions, and I haven't shot a new generation Crawl, but from what I remember of Crawl, the new generation, or what Benjamin's getting, are better than what I shot from Crawl before, just for what it's worth. Let's see. Heath asked me about my battery power compressor all the time, Heath. And when I'm at the range, unless I'm using a big bore, then I'll go back, just walk back to the shop and fill off my big bottle. But if I'm at the bench, if I'm out at the bench, I have a little table, I have a stand on my table, and I just maybe switch a gun. I'll let it fill up one and shoot a different one. But I use it all the time, and the batteries are holding up well. The compressor's holding up well. It still fills very quickly. Very, very awesome. I like it quite a bit. Anyway, Jay is saying he's a fan of budget rifles like the Fortitude. But will they ever get the air leak situation fixed? Yeah, I think what you have is those guns were a grasping at straws, and I might be wrong. Okay, it's my opinion. This is not that I've talked to Crossman, Benjamin, everybody, just my opinion. Grasping at straws, trying to keep some relevance in market share when the Discovery has gotten old, the Marauders gotten old, and I think rather their transition to having Crawl build their new guns was a far smarter way to do it. Because unless they're going to build something truly new and unique and build it here in the States and market it that way, I mean, actually manufacture it, build it here, not assembled with foreign and domestic parts, as they say, then I think that those guns probably are just going to go away. The 20 gauge SWA is one of those guns that I really like to shoot. That is a power gun. It's not the most powerful, but that little 15-inch carbine is getting 350 plus foot-pounds, and the 27 is getting 450. Man, I love shooting a lot. Let's see. So Goldfinger's got his Red Wolf. Well, I'm glad you got it and you're shooting it. I hope it's doing well for you, and let me know how it does over the long term as you're getting used to it. D, I mean, he says D, he or she, I don't know which. I just really don't want to spend FX money right now and need a bullpup. The Avenger is great, but it just feels so cheap. You know, something in the middle might be an Evanex Max ML. And the small bore Max MLs that we have in Airgun Pro Shop, we're going to be dropping regulators in them. So you can fill them with 300 bars, shooting them regged. We're getting 50 and some change in 25. And we'll put a lower pressure reg. So the 25s we have set to 170 bar, and the 22s will shoot at 150 bar. But those, you're into the $1,000 price point. You're not FX money, but it's a really nice wood, very well made, nice feeling air gun. So there you go. That may not be a bad idea. So let's see. People are answering questions for me. That's awesome. Deez, what's your favorite sub 1000 regulated bullpup? I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I'll have to think on that one. I actually like the feel of the new Avenger bullpup. I think compared to the, oh gosh, I thought of one. This is really, it's not regulated, but the difference between the stock on the Avenger bullpup and the Avenger, just the regular Avenger, is nicer. It's better. So I actually think the Avenger bullpups are not a bad option. You threw in the regulated though, and that is like the hitch, right? So if you're wanting regulated, $1,000 regulated, maybe one of the Maximals regulated. I don't know of something else that's sub 1,000 that's regulated in a bullpup. I know there's a lot of bullpups that aren't regulated that are under $1,000, but anyway. Let's see. Rodney's saying finally got his dad to shoot PCPs with him. The old man spanked us shooting pennies at 75 yards. He ran 4 clips for the Avenger without missing a penny. Well, yeah, you got to give it to the old guys. Let them do their thing, right? So Heath is saying, Heath, I'm with you, buddy. The Gunner is the most underrated rifle in 2022 so far. It's great for the price. I absolutely agree. And now that I've tinkered with it and played with how I can upgrade it and change the power, I'm thinking about getting a foldable stock adapter so I can put a foldable AR stock on it. I think that would be pretty cool. I go this way, I'm going to go this way. I think my camera is just going to do what it does. Sorry, I went out of focus there. Hold on. It's not supposed to change focus. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix that. Stop with the autofocus. There it is. Okay. Let's see. I'm not... Angie's saying hammer for all hogs. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Is it better to buy the slugs for it or just cast my own? Shannon, I'm guessing you're talking about the hammer. If you can find you need a 0.510 mold, which might be tough because most of them are going to be 0.495. But if you can find something that works, cast your own. Just make sure it's soft lead. Yeah, Angie's gonna tell you guys all about how much she absolutely loves the hammer. In fact, if you guys haven't seen her video on the hammer, you need to check it out. A little plug here for Gateway to Airguns. GatewayToAirguns.org, the grip review program, our YouTube channel, the GTA YouTube channel. Please check it out. Links in the video description. But Angie just posted a video on her grip review of the hammer, and it's. I got a video of the hammer. Did I drop it already? I might have put my video. I'm trying to remember. I might have put one out already. Real quick, let me go back and show you guys. Oh, and I can show you guys this too. All right, so let me pull this picture up. I'm going to switch screens here. All right, so this is the end of the new G2. We're going to shift gears here for a minute, and I'm just not even going to try and keep up with the chat because I just I can't keep it up. I can't keep up with it. I actually have some in stock now. So just reach out to me over the Pro Shop and we can get you taken care of. We'll be able to reg 22, 25, and 30. I'm trying to work with Mr. Lee to see if we can reg the 35. I'm not sure yet. But we have them in stock. I'll have to custom build it for you, but I would be pleased to do that. We're not doing any Marauder tunes at this time. We just don't have the parts. So that's where we're at there. And everybody with questions and stuff, I apologize. I just didn't get up to it. But look, look what we have here on the screen. So this is the end of the G2 30 cal, and that's just a threaded muzzle brake, which is awesome. You see here some nice pictures. Yeah, so slightly different color stock. I think this one's greener rather than brown. Oh yeah, I was shooting Hades. I'm doing my own editing on the fly. Rotate. Done. Okay. So that's the group I'm getting. Oh, you guys can't see it. My freaking head's in the way. There it is. Done. Now, okay. So that is the group. And that circle is a 2-inch bowl. So, I mean, you can extrapolate. That's maybe 3/4 of an inch. And that's a full mag on that right there. There was one shot under the tin that I had pulled, and I just put an extra one downrange to show the point. But this was after I had pulled off the Tacticam, because before it was just giving me fits. So let me show. I'll show you what. I mean, this isn't. Go back here. Nope. No. All right, never mind. Oh yes, here they are. So this was what the groups. I'll show you a little bit here. Okay, so this was some of the first groups I was getting here, which is not great. It's not. I mean, I was shooting so much better, and then they sort of. Oh no! Gosh! Don't look at that one. That's awful, isn't it? Oh, it didn't. There it is. So yeah. So that's what I wound up at the end of the day getting. So I've got more work to do, but the gun is a shooting son of a gun. Okay. Now you guys have at least seen the end cap, which I want to show you anyway. Let's see if we got any questions. We got about 8 minutes left. Let's see if we've got anything here left to talk about. All right, that's a good question. No Wings is asking, I'm curious about the longevity of the IGT system in comparison to the Springer air rifles. If you can get a Wyrock 97K versus a Swarm Magnum G2, if power isn't like, I got to have 28 foot-pounds or whatever, oh my God, get the Wyrock. That's such an easy decision. Not even in the same galaxy, those two guns. The Wyrock is a much better buy if they're the same price. So Rod's asking me a question here, and guys, I apologize. There's a bunch of stuff above it. I'm just not going to get to it tonight. Rod's asking me a question. Budget chronographs. I don't have one yet. I try to tune for group. I had the Caldwell chronograph for the longest time, and that one's fine. Nice app on the phone, works good. The Caldwell is about $120, $130, and it comes with a whole kit. They have an upgraded one that is a down-firing infrared. That one's very nice. It's actually rechargeable, which is much nicer than having 9-volt batteries, and Bluetooth. So you have some options there, in the fairly affordable side. Also, if you want something and you want to shoot at your target, and you're not going to be shooting over 1,100 feet per second, that FX chronograph, it's a couple $100. It does eat batteries, AAA batteries, but just buy the 48 pack and be done with it. And that actually works really well. And I also use the Pro Chrono Digital Deluxe, which is about $130. That one gives me the best reports when I email them to clients, that they're just really well formatted PDFs. I love that, the way that does its reporting. So I have different chronographs I use for different reasons, but they all work pretty well. I use the FX a lot now because I can be shooting during my review. You guys can hear the velocity, all of that stuff is working very easily. And you just hear it when I'm shooting targets, when I'm shooting groups, when I'm shooting all of that time. You guys can actually hear it. I don't have to go shoot separate chronograph stuff necessarily because you guys are hearing it right along with me. So, and that's a couple $100. But if you want like $100-ish, I'd look at the Caldwell chrono. Let's see if I pull it up. Well, I'll see if I find it for you here. I know they have it at Amazon. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's even cheaper. So they have two versions. They have the one that's the kit with the infrared, everything. That's what I would suggest because that takes out of the equation issues when you have poor lighting and such. You can always just get a reading even indoors. I'm just going to drop this link in here for you. All right, so that's, I'll show you real quick, right? So it's $136. It comes with everything, right? So you get the sky screens, you get the infrared screens, you get the chronograph, you get a some sort of thing. Oh yes, that little cable plugs into your cell phone. If you happen to have an older cell phone that has the audio jack, it reads it. The newer version of this actually has a Bluetooth connection. This one doesn't. But maybe that is or isn't important to you. I don't know. But this is a really cool, and here's like the app. You see it's plugged into the audio jack thing. That's showing it on an iPhone that no longer has an audio jack. So you'd have to have an older phone. Android, it works on Android too. But that's a good unit. Let me see a Pro Chrono Deluxe. And this is cheaper, but it doesn't have the infrared and all that other stuff. You have to shoot in the daylight. This is what I use. I'll put the link in for you. I don't really sell any, but I'd be pleased to. Yeah, I actually have. I'll tell you, I do have one in stock. I'll show you the one I have in stock. Um, I butchered that horribly spelling. Oh, Deluxe Caldwell Deluxe. Well, email me. I actually have a chronograph in stock that I had actually ordered two, and I don't see it here, but it's actually a really nice one. So, and I'd be pleased to make you a deal on it, and happy to sell it to you. So, just reach out to me at Pro Shop. I'll send you pictures, and it's a really nice unit. It aims downward. It's all infrared. It's like I said, it is. It's got a rechargeable battery built in, Bluetooth. It's a really nice unit. So anyway, guys, we're just about out of time. Anything here? Oh, let's see. Timmy, and Gary on the FX chronograph. I've had mixed results. Most of the time, it's really decent. Occasionally, it can be a little flaky, but usually it's because I've gone outside the range. Unlike most chronographs that just tell you what it is, there's different levels of sensitivity or whatever they call it that are like it's going to pick up from this velocity to this velocity. And if you fall outside of that, it's not going to pick it up. So you got to make sure that you've adjusted that to your profile. And I don't like the reporting. The reporting is very Mickey Mouse as compared to the Pro Chrono Digital. But anyway, let's see. Anything else here? Timmy, it goes back and forth. I didn't shoot anything on the 30 cal. I just wanted to shoot the Hades because it's what I had handy. And since that's a hunt and gun, I wanted to get some ideas on that. And I've got the 30 cal JSBs, guys. I got the knockouts. I've got some FX knockouts. I've got some other 30 cals that Brian brought with him, some slugs. You can bet we're going to be running some slugs through the G2 here very soon, so we're excited about that. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. We're at 7:30. I mean, I hope you guys have had a good time tonight talking about just everything. But remember the big question tonight, and you think about it. Not to sneeze. Hold on. Maybe not. All right, maybe not. The big question is, how important is power? Because if you're in your backyard, if you're always trying to push power, you may find yourself not really needing it. If you're hunting, then obviously get what you need. But even in a hunting situation, remember that it wasn't many years ago that we all thought 200 plus with 230 was a lot of power, and we're pleased to take that out and go hunting without reservation. So now all of a sudden, why is there this change that we've got to have 1,000 foot-pounds or we can't hunt with it? I think that is a mindset that has done the industry a bit of disservice, and encourage you guys to think about that when you're looking at your next air gun, or when you're looking to get your next, your next big bore, small bore, whatever. Look at other things than power. Look at build quality, reputation, consistent manufacturing, et cetera, and you might be surprised what options are out there when you're not always looking at just how much power can I get. So that's going to be it. And I will tell you guys, have a great rest of your week. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thanks for joining me every week. You guys come out here and hang out, which is pretty fun. I appreciate you all doing it. That's going to be it. You guys have a good one. Talk to you next week. See ya.